Laura is 18 years old, and despite the fact that she's technically an adult, she still tries to parent trap, as I call it, my ex-husband and I. So sometimes if we're all in the room together, she'll pull out her phone, open up Spotify, and play our wedding song. She'll mischievously laugh and say, "Does this remind you guys of anything?" She thinks it's hilarious. I, not so much. Other times, when we're celebrating certain milestones, she'll declare, "I want a picture with just mom and dad," and we'll oblige, and I'll stand on one side, and her dad will stand on the other. And when it comes time to say cheese, she sprints out of the view of the camera in hopes of getting a picture of me and her dad alone together. I tell you these stories because I think they illustrate the impact divorce has on kids. It's not always heavy, it's not always stressful, but it's always there. We know a lot about divorce and how it affects children and families. Roughly 50% of marriages end in divorce. Research shows that witnessing a parental split can bring emotional and behavioral challenges for kids. Some will bring these effects into adulthood, but most demonstrate resilience and adapt with time. Parents often treat divorce as if it's something that happened, something with a beginning, a middle, and an end. But to the children who experience it, there is no end. Divorce becomes part of their identity, their family, and their lives forever. Research shows clear patterns about parent-child communication. During separation, it declines, and that decline can last for years. But it isn't always easy to talk to kids about divorce. Parents at the height of conflict often act like children themselves. They bicker, they blame, and they act stubborn. In turn, children step into more adult roles. They are often the messenger between parents. They try to keep the peace, and they desperately want to protect their parents emotionally. So today, I don't want to talk about children. I'd like to talk to them, mostly to my own children, but also to other children who've been impacted by divorce. And in order to do that, I will take you back to where it all started, my wedding day. July 20th, 2002, in a church in Simsbury, Connecticut, I stood at the altar and I said, "I do." In the days and months leading up to my wedding day, I reflected for a long time and deeply on the vows I was about to take. I tried to envision things that could be thrown at us as a married couple, and I wondered if I was really ready to commit, to forgive, and to fight to keep this man in my life forever. But nobody stands at the altar and says, "In sickness and in health, till divorce do we part." But 9 years and 3 kids later, in divorce, we did part. And those early years were messy. They were painful for all of us. And while my ex and I did the best we could, our best still caused a lot of harm. And so now, after about 15 years, with a clear mind and a little bit of a healed heart and the gift of time, I'm finally ready to speak things to my children that they probably should have heard long ago. And so these are the things that I want my children to know about divorce. Number 1, it wasn't your fault. Children of divorce hear these 4 words repeatedly, so much so that they become cliche, and it's really hard to grasp their meaning. So when I tell my kids it wasn't your fault, this is what I mean. There is nothing you could have done or not done, not then, not now, not ever, to change the outcome of our marriage. We were not arguing about you. Even if you heard us fighting about parental responsibilities, it wasn't about parenting at all. It was about ego, resentment, and the inability to solve conflicts with healthy communication and compromise. It was about 2 people who loved each other before they truly knew themselves. It was about a mismatch we didn't recognize at the time, and not about a lack of love or a failure caused by children who deserved more than we could give. Number 2, I don't know what it's like. One day, my daughter Molly woke up at her dad's house, and I woke up to a quiet house alone because the kids had been at their dad's. As I was rushing out the door to work, I got a text from Molly. "Whose weekend is it?" It's a question that had become routine in her mind. And at the time, she was in 8th grade, dealing with normal middle school stressors like soccer practice, a Spanish test, And on the top of her list, she wanted to know where she would be sleeping that night. It wasn't the first time we had had these kind of text exchanges, but for some reason this day it hit me harder than ever before. I would never understand what it's like to be shuffled between two homes. My own parents have been married for 56 years, and growing up, I lived with all the people I love and all of my belongings under one comfortable, convenient roof. So on that day, I tried to imagine what it would be like to wake up, not knowing where I was sleeping, having to think about, anticipate, and pack everything I would need for 3 days, and knowing that if I forgot something, I'd have to go up to my mom, who would likely roll her eyes, and say, "Can we stop by Dad's? I forgot something." So, I don't know what it's like, and I never will. I do know that it's a larger burden than you should share, and I do know that in those early years, there are things I could have done to make it easier for you, and there are still things I could do today. Number 3, you do not have to protect us. So I have 3 kids and they all play hockey. My ex and I try to go to as many games as we can. Sometimes we sit together, but more often than not, we sit apart. Whichever 2 kids are not on the ice on any given day will watch period 1 with their dad, period 2 with their mom, and then they split period 3 evenly between mom and dad. So that even at sporting events, our custody agreement is in effect. Oftentimes, my kids worry about me out loud. They feel bad for me when I wake up alone on Christmas morning. They wonder what life will be like for me when I'm in my 70s and 80s. Will I be lonely? Who will take care of me? And so this is what I need my children to know. It is not your job to protect me. You do not have to step into the role as spouse or caregiver. I promise you, if you watch an entire hockey game with your father, I will not feel rejected or be jealous. But even if I do, it is not your job to shield me from that. It is never your job to protect me or try to fill voids you think I have from being a single parent. The only job you have is to be my child, even when you're technically adults. Number 4, there is still love between your father and I. It took me a long time to admit this, and it's very hard to say out loud, but yes, there is still love between my ex-husband and me. It's not the same kind of love that was there on our wedding day. It's not a romantic love, but it's rooted in something deeper. And what I want my kids to know about this is that there's only one person in the world who will love them as much as I do. And so when I want to pick up the phone and rant about a game they just played or celebrate their newest successes, the only person who understands in the same way is their dad. And so our love now is rooted in something deeper, because our shared love for them creates a bond. And that bond is a form of love that can't be broken by anything, not even divorce. I forget what number I'm on. 5. Number 5. I was wrong a lot. Hindsight is 20/20, and it can reveal some very painful truths. After 15 years of divorce, I can look back at those early years and see all the mistakes I made and the unnecessary pain I caused. And as a parent, I have to hold myself accountable. And so these are the things I want my children to know. I was wrong every single time I talked negatively about your father in front of you. I was the adult, and I should have practiced patience, restraint, and love. I was wrong every time I tried to buy your love or forgiveness or ease my guilt with presents and things. I used money instead of words, and it might have felt okay for a little bit, but it solved nothing. I don't know why I did these things. Maybe I wanted to be the better parent in your eyes. Maybe I had scars of my own that hadn't healed. Maybe my own pain was so loud that I needed an audience. But what I do know is that it was too much to put on you. You deserve love, not loyalty tests, peace, not chaos, and protection, not conflicts. Number 6, our family is not broken. When my kids were younger, and it was like maybe a year or 2 after divorce, people would come up to me and talk about my ex-husband as if he was my current husband. They would say, oh, I was just talking to your husband about, and I would quickly interject, no, 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 he's my ex-husband. My kids hated it, but I wanted everyone to know that we were not married. As years went on, people continued to make the same mistakes. They continued to think we were still married. And eventually it stopped bothering me because I realized what it meant. It meant that we had done something right, that we were co-parenting together, that we had created a new family, redefined, and it was proof that our family was not at all broken. Divorce does break marriage vows, but it doesn't break families. And I think it's time we start writing divorce vows. Not to say we'll stay married, but to say we'll stay parents. Vows that say we will not make our children choose sides. Vows that say we will not make our children carry our grief. And vows that say our children don't have to heal in silence. We will keep talking, not only when it's fresh, not only when it's convenient, but for a lifetime. Because for children of divorce, it is a lifetime. Divorce ends a marriage, but it does not end a family. If we can be brave and keep having these conversations and facing our hard truths, then maybe our kids don't have to heal in silence anymore. Thank you.